Last week in Pomona, California, there was new sheriffs in town.
Who had you arrested?
Shut up. With Viper behind the wheel and the car tuned by the legendary clutch skid mark, these two took no prisoners, chasing down each adversary one by one.
Including you.
Gary Densham,
Did you run?
Al Hoffman, Tony Pedregon,
And you.
until a final round showdown against Dean Scusa ended with one finally getting away.
Except you didn't get away, they took you in and got your fingerprints and everything.
You're the pit correspondent, you're not supposed to talk during my intros.
I'm sorry, when you mentioned the sheriffs.
I'm going to talk to the producer about this.
You're on probation, so I'm not as scared as you are.
You two are still on the air, you know.
Damn it.
Sorry.
Welcome everyone to Firebird International Raceway, somewhere around Phoenix, Arizona, for today's running of the Checker Shooks and Kragan Nationals on Speed Planet. I'm your host Smarty Reed. Allow me to reluctantly introduce the newest member of the broadcast team, the legendary Paul Pager. Paul.
Hello everyone, it's great to be here with you all for today's event. This is the second race of the season, and we're getting right into it with the first pair of funny cars coming to the line for what should be a great event. Here's a look at the conditions and setup information for this round of qualifying, provided by the Shifts&Giggles funny car team, but we'll have more on that later.
Thanks Paul. Why are you here?
I'm the guy that pretends to not know anything about this sport, so you have to explain it all to the audience without it sounding like you're being a know-it-all dickhead.
Pretending, I see, fine. We're just about ready for the first of 4 qualifying attempts for these teams, the Shifts&Giggles Dodge driven by Viper in the near lane, Jerry Tolliver in the WWF car in the far lane. Viper runs a 4.900 at 316 miles per hour to land in the number 2 spot. Tolliver runs 5.132 to take number 4. Not a bad pair of runs to start things off.
We'll watch that again. What are incremental times, Smarty?
That's the time it takes to pass each distance mark on the racetrack, which you can see by looking at the orange blocks down the middle of the center line. Was that too dickhead know-it-all for you, Paul?
That's great, Smarty. Thanks. Was that difficult for you?
Was what difficult?
Not being a dick.
Imagine having to explain everything about a sport during every game or event. Hey folks, in case you didn't know, when someone kicks a ball into a net, that's called a goal. It's humiliating. Nobody new ever watches this stuff.
I'm new.
Do you watch it?
No.
See. Anyway, here's a look at the qualifying order after one session. Ron Capps on top with a 4.825 second elapsed time.
What exactly is the point of these qualifying runs, Smarty?
The position you qualify in determines who you race in the first round. Cars get paired up based on those positions on an elimination tournament ladder. Number 1 races 16, 2 races 15, 3 races 14, 4 races 13, etc., where each round the winners move on. Losers pack their shit and go home. In the end there's 1 winner and 15 losers. Let's go down to Selly.
Thanks, Smarty. I asked Viper's crew chief, Clutch Skid Mark, earlier, about sharing setup information with our viewers again, after having them stolen off the team's laptop last race. He said the Shifts&Giggles network threatened to stop sponsoring the team if they didn't allow us to use that information, and if it were up to him we could all beep. Back to you, Smarty.
Tell him I said thanks for dropping the charges. Anyway, second round of qualifying lined up, Scotty Cannon near lane, Viper in the far lane. Viper is currently number 2, Cannon a shitty number 15. Both cars making nice looking runs. Viper ties his season best with a 4.867 second elapsed time and stays number 2. Cannon makes his best run of the season, 4.974, and moves up to number 5.
The real funny car world record is less than 4 seconds. These cars are barely running under 5 seconds. Why are they so slow in this game?
A top fuel and funny car race today is only 1,000 feet. Back in the year 2000, everyone still had the balls to race a full quarter mile. NHRA and the teams eventually opted for a safety first approach to drag racing.
That sounds very responsible of them.
What? No. Let's go down to Selly.
Well, Smarty, I'm willing to ignore the fact that you're a sexist pig, if you're willing to ignore the fact that I ruined your intro to this week's show, instead of involving producers. Is that a deal?
Fine, can we please be professionals and get back to this broadcast?
I'm willing to give it a try if you are.
I'm always professional.
A professional idiot.
What?
Well, that lasted 5 seconds, that's longer than I thought you could be professional. Well done, Smarty.
Here Paul, check out what it looks like to ride in one of these beasts.
Very cool, and I'll ignore what you called me, for now.
There's the qualifying order after 2 sessions so far. It's a pretty big spread in performance, but it only takes 1 car to put you on the trailer come eliminations. Here we go with qualifying round 3. Let's go to Selly.
I talked to crew chief Clutch Skidmark about his approach to qualifying. He said every run presents different atmospheric conditions. So the amount of power and the traction you have to work with is constantly changing. His approach is to use qualifying runs to find the limits of what a track can hold in each of those conditions so he can go into eliminations confident in their tune-up. Back to you, Smarty.
Here's our first look this season at Wit. I Can Take a Punch, Bazemore, driving the late Chuck Etchel's Kendall Camaro. Was there anything you didn't understand about that fall?
No, you punched with Bazemore.
No, I didn't. Ron Caps would do that. I meant about what Selly said. I just want to make sure she didn't use too big of words for you, like atmospheric, and work.
Besides, Smarty is much more likely to be on the receiving end of a punch than the one throwing it. I'm not going to take sides, but that would be awesome to see his screen get cracked a little.
Here we go, Viper and Bazemore, number 2 and number 15. Clean starts. Viper, up in smoke. Bazemore makes it to the end with a 5.082 elapsed time, moving him up the order to number 7. Viper stays number 2. Since we have time to kill and I'm sure Paul will have questions, we'll watch that again.
Selly mentioned the importance of the car setup. Can you explain what went wrong here for our viewers?
Do I look like a crew chief? Fine. Here's a look at the Shifts and Giggles tuning screen before that run. The amount of power the car is making can be adjusted by raising or lowering the blower overdrive, cylinder pressure, advanced spark or nitro percentage. The way that power is applied can be adjusted with the clutch settings and nose weight. You can never use all the power from start to finish. Between the engine and the drive shaft is a clutch system that absorbs most of the horsepower on launch and applies it gradually as the car goes down the racetrack. The primary clutch determines how much of that power you use as the car launches. The secondary clutch determines what point in the run the clutch locks up and all the power gets applied. This run, the car got off the line pretty well, so it's most likely that Clutch Skidmark had the secondary clutch engaged just a bit too soon, and as a result the car loses traction by half track. Did you get all that, Paul?
I'm sorry, I wasn't really paying attention, but it sounded interesting, really. Can you repeat that?
Wow, and I'm the dick. Selly?
I asked Clutch Skidmark what his plans were for this final qualifying session with the Shifts and Giggles Dodge, and if the team was capable of taking the number 1 qualifying position away from Ron Caps. He said that while the track has improved from the last session, he would be happy to just keep improving on their own performances. And that hopefully their driver can get his crap together on the starting line so they don't have to be so aggressive all the time. Back to you, Smarty.
Thanks, Selly. It's Tony Pedregon alongside the Shifts and Giggles Dodge for their final qualifying attempts. Can Tony improve on his number 15? Can Viper steal the top spot from Ron Caps? Let's find out.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
That's because you dropped your pencil. Idiot. Here we go, they're staged. Clean starts both lanes. Can Viper go number 1? He cannot. A career best 4.856 second elapsed time at 316 miles per hour keeps them in the number 2 spot. Tony moves all the way to number 7 with a 5.043 at 308.
I've noticed that Viper always seems to have the slowest reaction times. Why is that?
If you ask him, it's because of input lag. If you ask me, it's just because he sucks.
What's input lag?
It's the delay between you performing an action and that action actually being actuated actually.
What?
Imagine stomping on the gas pedal of your car and the car takes a moment to do anything.
Why couldn't you just say that the first time?
Because I keep forgetting that I'm sitting beside an idiot.
An idiot that's going to take your job someday, Dick.
Hey, I had dibs on that.
Nobody's taking my job. I'm only on probation until my contract expires, at the end of the year. Let's ride along with Viper on his career best pass so far. There's the final qualifying order. And here's how they match up for first round of eliminations, coming up in just a moment. Here we go, folks, it's that time again. Winners advance, losers go home. Put up or shut up. Shit or. Never mind. Selly?
I asked Viper how he felt about this first round coming off a career best pass. He said the track is not there for that kind of performance here, and Clutch has set the car up to go A to B on this one, hopefully quicker than Pedregon. Back to you.
This is Frank, Ringo star of the Pedregon brothers, Pedregon, driving the CSK funny car for the Worsham family at their sponsor's race.
That's not a very nice thing to say, is it?
What do you mean? Ringo was in the Beatles and had a very good career. What exactly are you implying?
Never mind.
Ha, gotcha.
Haha, screw you, Paul, that job is going to be mine.
Okay, here we go. Frank Pedregon far lane, Viper in the near lane. Let's see who's going to round 2. Drivers staged. Frank away first. Can Viper chase him down? He does. A 4.966 second elapsed time at 315 miles per hour, beats Pedregon's 5.138 at 305. The Shifts and Giggles Dodge continues to turn on win lights.
How does winning rounds work toward the championship standings?
Are you going to listen to me this time? Or will I be just wasting my breath?
I don't know, let's see how it goes.
Fine. Since there are only 16 cars in this class in this game, everybody makes the field and appears in round 1, with 30 points plus whatever extra was earned based on qualifying positions. After that, each round win is worth an additional 20. At the end of the season, the driver with the most is the champion. Makes sense.
Actually, it does. Wow, I can't believe I said that.
I can't either, actually.
Oh my god, are you two on the verge of getting along?
No. Let's ride along into round number 2 with Viper in the Shifts and Giggles Dodge. Here's a look at the pairings for round 2, in case anyone is interested in how their favorite driver is doing here at Firebird Raceway.
I'm interested.
Really?
No, I'm only here because I'm under contract with the network, and they said I had to be.
That figures. Anyway, here we go with round 2, and a rematch from last week's semi-final round at the season-opening Winter Nationals. Here's Tony Pedregon, who defeated his brother Cruz in round 1.
Which Beetle is Tony?
George.
Here's a look at that race last week. Viper driving around Tony to take the win. I'm sure Tony hasn't forgotten that. Selly.
I talked to Viper as he was getting in the car. He said he's made so many runs beside that Syntec car in both qualifying and eliminations this season already, that it's going to be a pleasure putting an end to his day, again. He also said, "Get the hell out of the way, Blondie, we have a race to run." Back to you.
Okay, here we go with round 2. Viper near lane, Tony far lane. Is it deja vu all over again here in Phoenix? Drivers inching in. They're staged. They leave together. Clean passes in both lanes. Viper takes the win with a 4.909 second elapsed time to Tony's losing 5:04. It's Viper 2, Tony 0. Let's have another look. Any questions, Paul?
No, I think I got it.
Selly.
I talked to Viper at the end of the track. He said, "Holy crap lady, how the hell did you get down here already?" Then he said, "That as great as it feels to beat up on the Pedregon brothers. It's all in good fun, and at the end of the day it feels even better when you click the thumbs up on this video and subscribe to the Shifts and Giggles Racing Network, channel." I asked crew chief Clutch Skidmark if he had anything to add. And he said anyone with half a brain would also hit that bell for notifications so they don't miss out on what promises to be a fun and exciting season. Back to you, Smarty.
Thanks, Selly.
I have a question.
What?
Which way to the food stands? I could go for a slice of pizza.
Really? Get IT Guy George to take you.
IT Guy George was fired for what you made him do last week.
Oops.
Never mind, I'll call for delivery.
Fine. Here's a look at our semi-finalists. It's Viper versus Scusa on one side, John Force and Whit Bazemore on the other. It promises to be exciting.
I for one can hardly wait.
Well, your wait is almost over because here we go.
I meant for my pizza. It'll be here in a half hour.
Selly.
Thanks, Smarty. I asked Viper back in the pits if he was looking to pay back Dean Scusa for beating him in the final round last week at the Winter Nationals. He said that was a really stupid question, and so obvious, he would have expected it to come from the new guy, instead of me. Back to you.
Ha, see, even the drivers don't like you, Paul.
He didn't say that, Smarty. In fact, it's you, that they all think is a dick. They just think Paul is an idiot.
Fine, I'll take that. This was the final round from last week's Winter Nationals, Scusa kicking the Shifts and Giggles team's ass like the bitches they are.
Well, at least you aren't taking that personally.
How would you like to be called a dick all the time?
How would you like being called an idiot all the time?
I would just like to encourage you both to keep it up. The sooner you kill each other, the sooner I can get out of this hot sun, and sit on my ass all day, in a comfy booth, instead of you two immature jackasses.
Here we go, Scusa versus Viper. Someone's going to their second straight final round to start the season. It can't be both. Viper away first. Then goes up in smoke. Scusa takes the win with a pretty sluggish 5:08 at 312 miles per hour. Viper pedals it to a losing 5.36 second elapsed time at only 262 miles per hour. It's Scusa 2, Viper 0. Let's watch that again. Viper with the better reaction time for a change. The cars are pretty much even by the 330-foot mark. Then by half track it's all over but the crying for the Shifts and Giggles team. Selly.
Thanks, Smarty. I talked to crew chief Clutch Skidmark back on the starting line. He said the driver did his job this time, and if there's anyone to blame for this loss, it's partially him. But mostly the blonde chick that kept getting in their way all day when they were trying to work. I've been with this team all weekend long. I haven't seen any blonde chicks getting in their way. I don't know what he's talking about. Back to you guys.
Right, Selly. It's a real mystery.
Let's take one last ride in the Shifts and Giggles car as we say goodbye from Phoenix.
Wait, what about the final round?
The team sponsored by the network is out. End of show. John Force beat Dean Scusa in the finals and the crowd cheered, I'm sure. Here's the points after 2 races. On behalf of Paul Pager and Sally Anderson, I'm Smarty Reed saying goodnight and see you all in Gainesville next week.
But I ordered a pizza. Guys.